Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Big Ten Mafia Show, part of the College Football Mafia. I am your host, as always, Sergeant Pickles, and with me is the fantastic Becky Go Huskies. How we doing, Becky?
Good. How are you?
Another beautiful day in paradise. I don't have to work the next few days, so I'm looking forward to it. And the also excellent, rocking some pretty sweet headgear down there, Mr. Moen After Dark. How we doing, Moen?
Doing well. I was telling these guys before the show, two hats I had not debuted yet, the USC hat and the Iowa Hawkeyes hat. And guess why I'm wearing the USC hat?
Yeah. Kirk Ferentz going to Kirk Ferentz. That's my sum up. But we will get there. I'll do this for my friends Fight on Rusty because me and Becky know from the Pac-12 days we actually respect USC. I'll give you a crisp fight on, my friend. To everybody stopping in early in chat. Hello, Tempest. Hawkeyes choked. Yep, they did. I think they had several opportunities to win that game and couldn't see it through. We will get there in chronological order as that game took place just today. Nathan Campbell, hello. Contributor, friend of the show, Daniel Gygax, checking out the Big 12 Mafia. They got ASU in a playoff game, and they got some other bowl games coming up for the Big 12. Big 12's been doing pretty well so far this year. I think they've acquitted themselves quite well. Shonsky, another Big 12 friend. BYU got that very, very impressive win over Colorado in a pseudo-conference game. And unfortunately, if you read any of the news outlets or ESPN.com afterwards, all you would hear about is Colorado's final outing and not the fact that BYU actually absolutely took them to the woodshed. Becky Moen, you got anything on the BYU Colorado just while we're here?
BYU just jumped them from the start.
Yeah.
I thought they had the best game plan I've seen against Colorado all year. The only other team I saw with that good of a game plan was Nebraska. They just pretty much dialed in on them and suffocated them and exposed a few of the flaws. But when you have 2 weeks, 3 weeks, or whatever it was to prepare for a team, you're gonna figure some stuff out, especially when you have a really good coaching staff, and they have a good coaching staff in Provo. So.
Yeah, big one for the Cougars. Colorado, we'll see how it goes next year. He doesn't have any of his superstars. He's got to build some new ones. So we'll see how Prime does in year 3.
The portal giveth and taketh away in Boulder. I'll say that much.
He's had some really good recruiting classes the last 2 seasons. So don't sleep on his recruiting classes. They're not. They're not bad. He's got some 5-star kids, so he'll be fine. Their issues are they better on the offensive line? Because it wasn't a weakness this year, but it was not great. Oh, they lose a lot of defensive talent. I don't know if people realize how much defensive talent they lost. They lose a bunch. So.
Yep, Prime will definitely have some work to do, but I digress. It is an excellent win for BYU, and my final thought on their season, even though this is the Big Ten show, I think if BYU doesn't lose to a Kansas, they make it to the Big 12 championship, they win the Big 12 championship, and they're in the playoff. I believe that they were playing that well, and they just got tripped up right at the finish line. Real quick, Penn State friends stopping in, Bob Swinger. Got a very interesting matchup looking forward to. I know Penn State's the heavy favorite, but, we've known from history teams have slept on Boise before, and they've come out on top. They've got 3 Fiesta Bowl wins, so don't overlook them. I know that Penn State's a heavy favorite for a reason, but do not overlook them pesky Broncos. Our Graw, a few times I pulled for Iowa as a Penn State fan. Can't wait for the wrestling team to take it out on them. Yeah, Penn State is the Alabama of wrestling that I've learned.
Yes, Penn State has an incredible wrestling team.
Yeah, if you watch UFC at all like I do, there are several former Penn State wrestlers that are now in the UFC and very, very good at it. Clint Moses, our Beaver friends, stopping by. Roasting Texas A&M never gets old. Nope, it never does. They bring the cringe on themselves with the yell guys. It just makes it too easy. No. My son agrees. Alrighty, Moan, but we're rolling right on through. We got to wind it all the way back to the very first Big Ten bowl game going on, which I believe was Rutgers, was it not?
This is the one that we're going to start out with. Rutgers loses late. pull that off here real quick so everybody can see it. Dylan Edwards scores 3 touchdowns. Dylan Edwards. I don't know if you guys watched any of this game. Greg Schiano's got to figure out the defense. He's a defensive coach, and Kansas State spent the first half just running jet sweeps, perimeter passes, getting chunks of yards on Rutgers. They didn't score. They didn't keep up with Rutgers in scoring, but in terms of yards, you can see in the team stats, 542 total yards for Kansas State versus 400 for Rutgers. And Rutgers had the lead. Rutgers had the lead going into the fourth quarter, and they blew it. They left 15 unanswered points. I mean, it's
10-point lead at half, 5-point lead going into the fourth. And I didn't actually catch the Kansas comeback, or Kansas State rather, but Rutgers, it didn't feel like they had it in control. Kansas State was in this game the whole way, despite the score margin at half. But I thought that they were doing enough to stop Rahmir Johnson. He wasn't completing just these absolute bombs down the field, and he's very capable. He's got a good arm, but they were slowing him down enough. And in the fourth quarter, it just completely broke loose. Dylan Edwards just ran all over him. Like you're saying, Mo, and I don't know what changed. Maybe Kansas State made an adjustment, but Schiano is kind of known for having that bend but don't break defense, and it broke.
By the way, it was a 17-point lead.
Yeah, 17.
It was 17 at one point.
Oh, in the second, I believe it was.
In the third.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I missed the later part of this game.
Let me just say this. They had a 17-point lead with about 21 minutes left in the game.
Yeah.
Like, what happened was, like you said, Dylan Edwards just went off.
Yeah.
And I think the bulk of his rushing was in that second half. Essentially the adjustment they made was they started running some traps and things like that on the inside. It was pretty much game over. It set up some play actions, some little things like that. And, Kansas State was not impressive, but Rutgers just, I don't know what to say about the defense. Like you said, the defense, it's been a bend, don't break all year. It broke, and it broke hard. They had this game won. They had this game won, and just, like I said, Raymond, they should have just handed the ball off more in that last, the second half. They should have just ran it out a bit, but no, they let him back in. Can't hear
You're muted. You're muted, Pickles.
Dang it, that was my best point. No, Monungai obviously not playing. He's preparing for the draft, but he was there, wasn't suited up at all, but had the jersey on, was coaching the running backs. We're in the era that I'm not going to take away from a guy who's probably one of the top picks at his position. He's there on the sideline, coaching his guys, giving them reps, but that's obviously kind of a step down. Like Rutgers backs, they still have some talented guys, but I think that was where Kansas State kind of showed that the difference in this game, not having Monungai, but then Kansas State is speed to the edge. Rutgers was still defending well in the center, but Dylan Edwards I think that's where Rutgers was lacking, was speed on the outsides. When they did run those swing passes or those quick outs, if he caught the corner, he was gone. So yeah. Reese Gun had a very good season. Didn't see that coming from Tony Lashin. Yeah, up and down season, but I think Kaliak Manis exceeded my expectations.
No. Yeah. Kaliak Manis, good.
He's okay. He's not bad.
He's bipolar. I mean, he would throw, he threw a pass in the first quarter that was just one of the most beautiful passes I've ever seen. And then he would just miss wide open receivers. But I think, listen, defense was not in this game at all because Rutgers got 400 yards. You had 943 total yards of offense. Yeah. These were just chunk plays, too. It's not like these were 3 yards on a cloud of dust. This was 17-yard run, 24-yard pass, 19-yard scramble. It was just insane.
Broken tackles and missed tackles.
Yeah, here you go. Yeah. Dylan Edwards, 65-yard touchdown run. Yeah. Dylan Edwards, 36-yard touchdown run. 26-yard touchdown pass. And I mean, like, that's just like 13-yard touchdown pass. That's just Kansas State. Like, I think I looked. I think I looked. Hold on a second. I did look. I'm going to tell you guys this. The longest play from scrimmage like Rutgers even had a 60-yard pass reception.
Yes, that's the one that Kaliak managed through that was perfect.
Now, Kansas State had a 65-yard. Like, Rutgers had a 65-yard run too.
Yes.
People forget, like, I mean, every wide receiver that caught a pass for Kansas State, 1, 2, 3, 3 of them were for 25 yards or more. Every one of their longest reception, every receiver caught a ball was 13 yards plus, which is ridiculous. And
he's hungry, Pickles.
I know. Yeah, my son has decided it's dinner time right in the middle of the show. Apologies, people.
And then, like I said, and then Kansas State, Brown, a backup running back, 34 yards on one play. There was no defense. There was no defense. I don't even know what to say. Like, it's a baseball field. There's no defense.
Yeah, much like my son, each team was hungry for the end zone, and they found it often. A lot of chunk plays, and if the field was 200 yards long, a lot of those plays would have gone for 200 yards because they were just broke wide open and streaking down the sideline.
By the way, you would never have known that Kansas State had 4 sacks.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know if it was a huge factor necessarily in this game. I don't know. I didn't get the impression. Like I said, I didn't watch kind of the end of it as Dylan Edwards was going off. But in the first part of the game, I thought both offenses were playing well. I didn't feel like both defenses were getting just absolutely trashed, but they did give up 6, 7, 8 at a time. They weren't consistently getting plays for no yards, tackles for loss, or just short yard gains. It was always chunk plays.
Yeah, the one thing I would take away from this is Rutgers needs to learn how to close. I think Shiano maybe tightened up a little bit towards the end there, played not to lose, and he lost. Good news is for Rutgers, both the running backs that they have following Monungai, Raymond and Benjamin, they did really well. They surprised me. So it looks like they're going to have a solid running game next year. They've got another year of Kaliak Manis, but he's got to get something done with the defense, especially the linebacker core, because those linebackers were getting beat down by the Kansas State offense.
I think I was very surprised by how slow Rutgers looked.
Yes.
I don't think we saw them look that slow all year. I was like, either Kansas State is extremely fast or Rutgers is extremely slow. And I don't know if it's because Kansas State was extremely fast. Like I said, we've seen Rutgers play all year. They didn't look this bad against the run against anybody, like, at all, really. Like, they just looked like Washington just ran straight up at them, and they couldn't handle Coleman. He's just too big of a load. And he's just breaking guys down over time. But USC ran on them, but they weren't getting to the edge like they wanted. UCLA was the only team that I was like, okay, but that was a quarterback that was doing most of the damage on the ground. So like I said, I have no idea what happened to their linebackers. Like Moen said, they looked slow. Like they looked slow. Like you can't look. You can be fast and look fast, but I've never seen players look slow and be slow.
Yeah. I think just kind of my takeaway, stepping back from the game itself, like obviously ending on kind of a negative note. But you had a 7-6 season. I think Rutgers exceeded some of my expectations. They dealt with injuries all year, especially Monungai, and still winning record, something to build on. Like you said, Mo, and they got good running backs coming through. They've made a couple of good additions in the portal. They took a receiver that the Huskies were after, but landed up at Rutgers. So there's things to be excited about. I don't think this is the last we've seen of Rutgers coming in bowl games. Quick shout out to some people stopping in. Skaven, yes. Hello, my friend. Appreciate you being here. And Timothy Green, our West Virginia Mountaineer. Still weird to me that 4 of the best Pac-12 teams are in the Big Ten now. It's a sign of the times. I mean, Moen's rocking a USC hat, and I got my Washington shirt on, and we're all chilling in the Big Ten. But it is what it is. We're happy to be here, and we're going to roll right on from a losing start in the Big Ten to perhaps a winning game, Moen.
I just want to say real quick, Rutgers is replacing 6 starters on offense, 8 on defense, like including the quarterback.
Could be worse. Washington replaced 21 and 22.
Yep.
And still won 6 games. So.
Yeah, at least these guys are graduating. They're not just leaving.
Yeah.
They're all seniors. Those were all the seniors. That's not to say it doesn't get worse.
All right. Now we get into Skaven. Yes, we're like, sorry. Yours is coming up next, Skaven. The Trojans, the undefeated champions of Las Vegas, they came back. I don't know if you guys saw this game. The fourth quarter was insane.
I watched.
Yeah, I watched every snap after halftime. I watched. Yeah. This was a big one for West Coast people. It's still USC. You know, love them or hate them. They're our Pac-12 friend, and this had secondary effects for Washington because they beat an SEC team, which is always good for the Big Ten. But Washington beat the team that beat 2 SEC teams, so good for me, right? I'm going to claim that as a win over 2 SEC teams by default.
Hey, Georgia Southern beat a team that beat 4 of them. So
yeah. Moen, kind of give a recap of how this one went down.
Listen, this was a back and forth game. Texas A&M took the lead late. I think there was less than 2 minutes on the clock. Very much like that LSU game from earlier this year. USC quarterback drove down the field. He'd been having a mediocre game. He threw 3 interceptions in this game. But he drove him down the field, and I think it was 8 seconds left through a touchdown pass.
Yeah.
Got the Trojans a win. And listen, not a whole lot to say about this game. It was sloppy on both sides. 3 turnovers for USC, 2 for Texas A&M. Texas A&M had the advantage in the yardage and time of possession, but USC scores 21 points in the fourth quarter to pull it off. I mean, it seems this USC team, when their back is against the wall, is when they play the best.
Yeah, the last score, I believe, was 6 seconds left, driving it in and threw the last touchdown. This is not a surprise to SC fans out there watching, or if you stumble on this later. I don't think Maiyava's the guy. If your aspiration is to contend for the Big Ten or contend for a college football playoff spot, I do not believe he's the guy to get it done. I know that Miller Moss, had his ups and downs also this season, but Maiyava he's not a consistent enough passer to utilize the talent they have at the receiver spot and a running back. He just isn't. So I would suggest they try and really go out there and find a top-end dude in the portal. I know that's tough because everyone's looking for one of those guys. But you're USC. You got to throw your weight and your money around a little bit. And I think your standards should be elevated. There were people calling for Lincoln Riley's head midway through this season. They finish on a high note. They beat 2 SEC teams. But at USC's standard of excellence should be we contend or in the discussion for the conference and for the playoff every year. And they're not there right now.
They went 4-5 in one score games. 4-5. Of which they had Minnesota beat, Michigan beat, Penn State beat, Washington beat, and they even had Notre Dame on the ropes. Like, this team is good. USC is really, really good. They have brain farts at stupid moments at stupid times. And it's usually at the end of a game. It's usually at the end of the game. Washington, Michigan, and Minnesota all come to mind. Oh, Penn State all come to mind.
They had 2 touchdown lead over them.
Yeah. They took their foot off the gas against Penn State, got beat. This is when they made the change from Miller Moss to Maiyava? I hope I'm saying his name right. I am.
It is. You're saying it right.
Like, the offense completely changed. They got better. They started running more, more run option kind of stuff, some RPOs. They just got better and they looked better. I think they waited way too long to switch. And I said it when they were going to do the switch. I said, do you know what the difference is between Lincoln Riley with a quarterback who's mobile and a quarterback who's not? He's won Heisman's with guys who are mobile. He's had better success with guys who are mobile. The only guy he had that wasn't mobile was Miller Moss.
I think the caveat to that, though, is he had mobile guys that could still chuck it down the field. And that's where Maiava, especially with the turnovers, that's where you saw he's lacking. That, to me, is the difference.
Maiava's got to improve on his deep ball. That's a guarantee. But, I mean, he came from UNLV. Forget that. He was the starting quarterback at UNLV a year ago when they made their turnaround. So he had some success. The thing that I've noticed with Maiava is he struggles a little bit with his he gets a little too much air under the ball sometimes. And you see it on the deep pass really well, but you can see it sometimes when he's trying to like get the ball over the top to like a tight end or a wide receiver in the end zone. It comes to mind. If go back and watch the UCLA game, guys, he did like 4 or 5 of those throws where they would have had touchdowns, but he just throws the ball a little too high. No, this game, it was just 24-7, gentlemen. 24-7. USC came back and won this darn game. 24-7 came back and won this game. And they did it in regulation, which is ridiculous. I think this is more indicative, though, of the problems that A&M has had this year, too. Like, A&M and USC are basically identical teams. The only difference was A&M won a couple of those one-score games where USC got beat. But A&M, I think people forget, A&M was right there in the thick of the SEC title race.
And then they played Texas.
And then they played Texas, and it was over. But no, this is a great win for USC going into the offseason. They know where their holes are, and if you've paid any attention to what's going on at USC, it's almost a complete turnover at certain spots. So we'll see. I have faith in them.
A quick side note, I got to say, because I couldn't not notice it. If you watched any length of this game and saw Reed, the quarterback for A&M, that dude is good. He's legit. I don't know if he's a redshirt, either freshman or sophomore. He's a young kid. He's legit. He's got talent. And if he sticks at A&M, I know this is the running joke at A&M. Oh, they got so much talent. They're loaded up. But, I mean, I was impressed. Of the 2 quarterbacks on the field, the one playing in the dark maroon was the better of the 2 by far.
Yeah, he is a red shirt.
Yeah.
He is a red shirt.
Yeah. I will say this about this game, and I hate to quote the man, but, Lincoln Riley should take advice from another legendary Big Ten coach. Those who stay will be champions. He needs to take this win and take the kids that stayed, and he needs to paint that picture for them that, hey, everyone's against us. They're calling for my head. You guys aren't good enough. All these 5 stars left. You guys don't have what it takes. Let's go out there and show them next year. That's exactly what Lincoln Riley has got the perfect narrative to tell these kids to motivate them to win. He's going to have to work with Maiava in the offseason. You're right. Maiava, just some of his passes, he threw an interception late in that game that was just one of those interceptions where you go, what in the – there was nobody around except Texas A&M kid.
Straight to the defender,
Straight to the defender. But you work with him in the offseason. You pick up some people in the portal. You put some confidence in these kids. You make them angry. I think this is something Lincoln Riley can build on.
I agree.
Yep. Well, we shall see. It's a tricky offseason for USC. New conference, new challenges, and man, they're used to kind of just stepping on the field and winning 8 games and seeing if they win the Pac-12 most years. That's not the case in this conference anymore. Real quick, we got our Duck friends stopping by. I appreciate you. I'll read it. I'll have to edit it a little bit because it's not a super chat. But go Ducks, beat them Buckeyes, har har. I'll be back at the game regardless. Only get mad if they get behind and give up, fight to the end. I will say Dan Lanning is many things. He is not a quitter. I expect the Ducks are not going to mail that in, even if they're down the same way Tennessee was, which I do not expect. I think it'll be a close game. But
what about those buses, Pickles? The Ducks are right around in great buses. I saw a Duck fan post that, and I was like, they have the same buses for the Buckeyes. Like,
is this the same as the Rolls-Royce Colorado thing? Like,
the Rolls-Royce Colorado
Rolls-Royce plane. It's like, Rolls-Royce makes the engines, right? Like, that's just a thing that they do. Like, you're not special, Warren Sapp. Yeah. Sorry.
It got community noted. That was hilarious.
Like, I work at Boeing, and like my brain was melting.
I know. I was like, that is a Boeing plane.
Yes.
Rolls-Royce makes the engines for Boeing and I think Airbus. Like, what are you doing? They make all the fighter jet engines too. Like, what are you?
It is what it is. It's just one of those silly things that we all laugh about.
It's hilarious.
But I digress. Moving right along. We got our next one. Could we break this stalemate in being 1-1 in bowl season play? And it looks like the Huskers got it done in one of the worst field conditions I've seen in quite some time.
It was awful.
Yeah.
It was a terrible, terrible condition of that field. They're going to have to do something next year because that was just awful. But the Huskers end their drought, and over 9-year drought since a bowl win for the Huskers. Congratulations to the Nebraska Huskers. Congratulations to Matt Rule. Scavin, yes, if you're still watching, go Big Red. You did the Big Man proud. I thought you were going to Munson it towards the end there. It certainly looked like it. In fact, I said it to my brother. We were celebrating Christmas at my dad's house. I said, look, Nebraska's going to Nebraska it again. But they didn't. So congratulations to Nebraska.
Yeah.
Yeah. Boston College, like, I didn't know what to make of them. They looked like an okay team. Nothing super impressive. I mean, field conditions, that'll be my mini rant. Quit playing these games. If you're playing it in the North, it has to be in a dome. I've become one of those people because I'm so tired of watching games played on crappy baseball fields. I'm over it. I wouldn't care if they played it at the Mariners field in Seattle. I would say the same thing. It's a crappy grass field that's soaked with rain because it's in the North in December. Like, just don't do it. It's terrible. Nobody likes it. The viewing angles are wrong. The broadcast was trying to make it sound like it's a fun, quirky thing that there's a foul pole in the middle of the camera shot. No, it's dumb. I hate it. Make it stop. That wasn't the one played at Fenway, but you get my point. To the game. I wasn't super impressed with Nebraska because, like I said, I think Boston College is kind of just an okay team. They didn't stand out to me. Given the conditions, they weren't going to be slinging it all over the yard and putting up crazy points. But Raiola looked okay. He looked a little more composed than he did at times earlier this year, where he certainly looked like a freshman. I'm still not 1,000% sold, but I think they got something there. We'll see what it turns into. Becky, do you think that Nebraska is on the precipice of stepping into that next level where they're winning 8, 9, 10 games? Or do they need another year or two?
They're getting close. They need some reinforcements, especially on offense. I think Raiola is going to be great. He just needs a few more weapons, better pass catchers, better running back. The other thing, like, he threw an interception in their first possession today. So, and then they had a fumble like 2 possessions later. So the defense, we know the defense for Nebraska is good. It'll always be good. Like, they have a lot of talent on that side of the ball. Matt Rule has done a great job of ensuring that they keep that talent. And, they have a very good defensive coordinator. Dylan Raiola is going to be something. And I don't know a lot of people know this. Do you know who his quarterback coach is in the offseason? Not paid for by Nebraska?
Same dude that Mahomes uses, I'm sure.
Same dude that Mahomes uses, yeah. So he's around Patrick Mahomes in the offseason and that, guys. So
that's got to be an awkward conversation.
By the way, not a lot of people know this. Raiola's father was a center for the Detroit Lions.
So I am so tempted now to Bowen. We need to AI generate the Patrick Mahomes with Raiola next to him. I shall call him Mini Me.
Can't wait to see him in State Farm Red.
Love it.
They're playing at Arrowhead next year, guys. They're playing at Arrowhead next year. Nebraska is. I'm just saying, he's young. He looked like a freshman. He played like a freshman at times. They just need a couple more weapons, some better players, and they do. They have some guys coming in that are going to be really, really good. The O-line is fine. Again, you can find, throw a rock, you'll hit like 25 dudes who weigh 300 pounds and are 6'6" in Nebraska. So, like, they're going to be fine on defense. They'll be fine on the O-line. I know, like you're saying, well, you're not impressed by Boston College. Do you know how bad Boston College was a year ago? They were terrible. And they have a former Patriots head coach, or a former Patriots coach, as their now head coach. And he took the job because it was in Boston and he didn't have to move his disabled son, which is awesome. So Boston College has played really good games all year. So Nebraska, I knew that it would end up being a fight, but like you guys said, the field conditions suck. Can we stop playing these games on the baseball field? I was watching one game. I think it was the one in Boston. Yeah, it was the North Carolina game, and they had
UNC versus UConn.
Yeah, like right about where the pitcher's mound was. They're out there having to put like the turf stuff down to like get rid of a divot because the field was lumpy. It was like this. It was like
terrible.
It was like this all around. So I was like, what? Why play it on this? Stop playing it on baseball fields. We have plenty of stadiums.
Becky, you know why? It's because the Yankees and Red Sox write fat checks.
I know.
That's what they do.
I know. I'm just like, in my head, though, I'm saying
it's terrible.
There. Like the field conditions. We've seen this in San Diego. We saw it like a year ago in San Diego, I want to say, or the year before. We've seen it in Arizona, and they have a dome. We've like either just screw it. Don't put the grass down. Just play that crap like the old Oakland Raiders did, like on the dirt. Just screw it. Just play it on the field.
I don't know. I mean, they'll keep doing it because it keeps making money, but the viewing experience and the games that come from it, not what I would call ideal. Like, I'm all for certain quirky locations. Skaven, yes, our big red friend popping in. They tried to give it away. They did because at one point this was what?
It was 20-2,
and the 2 wasn't a safety. It was a blocked kick.
It was a blocked kick,
which was hilarious.
A blocked extra point return for a 2-point conversion.
Yeah, that's some sickos committee stuff, and I love it.
Yeah, I was living for that. That was pretty good.
Yeah.
If you want to know how bad the field conditions were, Boston College's leading rusher, 22 yards.
Yeah. And no disrespect to Nebraska's defense, but that wasn't the reason why he had 22 yards.
It was awful. It was just awful.
It was not good. But they break the drought. You got to start somewhere. And I'm with you guys. I think we're kind of on similar pages. I'm apprehensive that they're going to take that next big jump into next year. But they got a quarterback, and that's a good place to start.
Yeah. And before people say, well, Johnson had 75 yards rushing. He had like 35 or 40 on one play.
Yeah, it was a chunk.
Yeah, the average was not good if you take away that play.
Like, you take away the play, like I think they had another 20-yard run too. So you take away 2 plays, like 60 yards out of their like 130 on the ground. It was not good. All
of the rushing was 2 yards in a cloud of sludge just flung into the air from everywhere.
The only thing I will say this though. Boston College threw for 300 yards today.
Yeah.
300.
I mean, when you're down that much going into the fourth, they were just throwing. They were chucking it.
They're chucking it. But 300 yards is still a lot of yards to give up for that defense. Like, that's a lot.
But got the win, and at the end of the day, that's all that matters. Moving right along, Moen, I think this next one comes to us from today. And I was optimistic. I was kind of listening along on the radio when I could at work, but I did not see how Iowa managed to lose this game because they didn't necessarily have it in hand, but at one point they were up 10 points. And I think as I was listening along, it sounded like Kirk Ferentz just decided to be himself and be extremely conservative when he shouldn't have.
The Iowa Hawkeyes still have offensive problems.
Well,
they've gotten better. Don't let the score fool you. One of those 7 points of that 24 that Iowa scored, special teams return, 100-yard kickoff return for a touchdown.
Yeah.
As a matter of fact, Wet John, the outstanding special teams player for Iowa, had more yards than anyone on Iowa's offense.
Oh, Lord.
He ended up with 153 yards, which is more than Sullivan had, more than Moulton had, Again, they've got to figure this offense thing out. I understand that it's Ferentz's plan to just fall back and lean on the defense, but the defense this season wasn't as good as previous seasons. And, you score 3 points after the half, you're not going to win a game.
Yeah.
No.
Tony Lashin saying basically this guy is blue here.
Great.
Iowa punter is fantastic.
Great. That's fine. That doesn't win you crap. You don't win games with a good punter. Sorry, not sorry, Iowa.
I think Kirk Ferentz is clutching his pearls somewhere.
No. Here's the thing. I watched it. I wanted to gouge my eyeballs out after the first half. They just got really conservative. They really did. They really did get super conservative. But like it shows right there. Sullivan was 14 of 18 for 130 yards. Do you know what that averages out to be? It's like a 10-yard throw.
That's like backup quarterback I didn't expect to play today, but got thrown into the game type numbers. Yeah. It's not good.
This is college football. This is college football. Guys throw for 130 yards in a quarter. It's not hard to throw for 130 yards in college football, guys. I'm not saying I could go out there and do it, but I am saying 99% of the quarterbacks in college football could walk in off the bench after eating at a buffet and throw for 130 yards. They're so conservatively. They play a style of offense that has been inadequate for 20 years now.
Well, Becky, what I got from Iowa fans, even after they whooped up on UW, I'm like, your offense is not going to get you where you want to go. But well, they beat you, and we got 8 wins. It's like, yeah, but that's all it's going to get you. You're going to be stuck on 8 wins forever. You keep doing it like that.
Yeah, and you look good against Washington for 2 reasons. One, you didn't play conservative football. Literally go back and watch it. They didn't play conservative football. They're throwing the ball down the field.
And Caleb Johnson broke loose
Johnson
2 monster runs, which Caleb Johnson. Okay, I saw that comment. I kind of wanted to address it real quick while we're here. Do we really think bowl wins and losses say anything about conference strength? It's the only measuring point we have, and I get there's opt-outs, and that's what I wanted to mention. Caleb Johnson didn't play in this game. Luther Burden, another top-round projected pick, did not play for Mizzou, so I kind of call that a push in my mind. I get different positions, but
I don't buy I've never bought that the conference, it's the strength of the conference based on bowl games. What it does, it's
just a data point. It's not the end all be all. It's just a data
point. What I do think it does show mostly is the strength of a team, the depth of a team. So you have all these opt-outs. You have guys not playing. Guys are hurt. Guys aren't playing. Guys going to the NFL, et cetera, et cetera. But, you can't add anybody. So it just shows how deep your team is. But, no, I'm not – when you hear, the ACC is 1-9, it's okay – but it's also all about matchups and who is playing who. I think Pitt lost to Toledo, but Pitt's lost now 7 straight games. So at some point you have to go, okay, well, are they good or are they bad? Where is it at? And I was big on Pitt, and then they tanked after that. But
darn it, sorry, apologize. Argyle saying bowls are a better metric than strength of schedule. I mean, strength of schedule is pretty arbitrary because if you think every team in one conference is really good, they're just going to be stacking up good wins, right?
Yeah.
I think non-conference, mid-season, early season non-conference games, and then obviously playoff games are a way better metric because those are teams going all out for the win.
I mean, like I said,
I don't know. We should all want to settle it on the field. That's the whole point of the 12-team playoff. You want to put it on the field and not say this team beat this team with this strength of record and this strength of victory. No, put the teams on the field and play ball.
Well, it's you can say that about any sport. Oh, well, so-and-so didn't have to play so-and-so. But yeah, because it's how it kind of works. The only game that I've seen that from this bowl season where I will actually take away anything is BYU and Colorado because they had no opt-outs. They had some opt-outs and things like that, but nothing.
I don't know. I know a certain number 12 was sitting on the sideline at the last part of the fourth quarter. Or sorry,
That's because
midway
they're
through the
getting
third.
blown out, Pickles. They're blown
I know why.
out. I'm not
just saying,
playing them. Like,
I know why. I'm very well aware. I
Cam
don't
Ward,
want to hear this thing that, nobody on our team quit. It's like you don't get to say that for the whole week leading up and then have a dude sit out even though you're getting blown out.
Yeah, I mean,
he quit because he wanted to preserve his draft stock.
Pickles, he did not quit. He got pulled from the game. There's a difference between I find this odd that like you're saying he quit when he literally was just pulled from the game, and your coach is saying you're not going to play anymore. Like,
let me rephrase. They spent the whole week telling us everyone will be in there. We're playing this game all the way through, and then times get tough, and you don't.
They got blown out. I'm not playing.
I know why.
It's a pointless bowl game.
You can't have it both ways. You can't say that and then do something different in the game.
Well, they got blown out.
Guys, listen. Here's my point of view on it. I don't care if they opt out. I prefer they opt out for the whole game.
Yeah.
What Cam Ward did was he came in and played. And that game was neck and neck. And then he didn't come out and play in the second half.
Yeah, he got his record announced.
He got his record and I don't fault him. I understand he's going to be a top 10 draft pick. He's getting millions of dollars. But if you're in for a penny, you're in for a pound. Either play or don't. Let's not do this. You can't have a halfway in, halfway out of a football game.
Yeah.
And that's what caused Miami to lose. So
I
will go back to the bowls. I will say this. Conference versus conference matchup does tend to show us some stuff. So we can go back, because guess what? The Big Ten and SEC are playing a lot of bowl games against each other. We can go back at the end of it, and we'll see how it pans out. Right now, I think it's split even 1-1.
Yep.
So we'll see how that plays out head to head.
I'm just saying, like, when it comes to, like, Cam Ward, he played to get his record, and that was it. Like, Hunter came into play. Like, Shedeur Sanders came into play. But at some point, you have to sit back and like go, hey, this is a bowl game. It's a glorified exhibition at this point. I don't want you to go out here and like, let's say he sticks in the game and then he tears like his PCL. And he's out for
That's why they had all that
year.
Crazy insurance.
But again, like that's not his goal. His goal is to be able to play in the future, Pickles. He wants to play 10 years in the league, not 2.
I will admit that I am overly critical of them because they do a lot of talking. I will raise my hand and admit that about specifically Colorado and Sanders and Hunter.
Well,
I'm overly critical of them because they talk more than anybody else.
I will say this: Sanders, that not the quarterback, the DB, celebrating down. I think they were down 33, and he was dancing. I was like,
yeah, stupid.
That's stupid.
Not a high five, not a whatever, and then you walk off. No, doing your little TikTok dance is absolutely ridiculous.
Yeah.
But we digress. We're all entitled to our opinions, good, bad, or otherwise. That's why we like sitting here talking with you people. And moving on from the past, Moen, the past is the past, and the future is now. We got some more bowl games coming up in the Big Ten. A rematch of last year's Rose Bowl, Alabama, Michigan. No, the opt-out list is from here to the moon because a lot of these guys are going to be top-end picks. But what do you make of the Tide versus Michigan round 2?
14.5 points is the spread, guys. That's more than 2 touchdowns. I would take Alabama. Michigan's got a lot of guys opting out, obviously. They struggled on offense this year, and they've got, their running backs are opting out. You've got defensive players opting out.
Yeah, I was about to say, Will Johnson, Mason Graham, all their standouts that won that team games on defense alone are not going to be playing. Alabama, I'm sure Alabama's got opt-outs, but
they don't have important opt-outs. That's the big difference.
Is Milton out for Alabama?
No.
He's playing.
He's playing. I think he comes back next year.
Yeah.
That's surprising.
I don't think he got a good draft grade, so I think I think his draft stock
draft grade.
I mean, this isn't really known as a really top-end quarterback year, so I figured he'd be coming out. But hey, more power to him if he wants to put it out there and put up some good more game film.
Yeah.
But that line is pretty crazy.
That's insane.
I wouldn't bet this game at all because of opt-outs. Like, I think this one more than most will be affected by that. I know DeBoer will be coaching for the win. He's not taking this lightly because we know it well from Washington. That dude does not like losing. And after the kind of season they had, they're going to be out to prove you left us out of the playoff, even though we have 2 terrible losses. So I think they'll be fighting on that one and pushing for it. Michigan, I mean, Sharon Moore, despite the rough season, is not in any danger of losing his job. They're going to reload and go again next year. So I don't know how much heart Michigan's going to have for this one, but 14.5, that line is big.
I'm taking Alabama all day, and I'm taking the over, and I'm going to tell you why, guys. Yes, I'm a degenerate gambler.
Yes.
The reason why, Alabama is going to go out there and try and prove they should not have been left out of the playoffs.
Yes.
They will easily go out there, and it's the fourth quarter, and they're up 35. They will let their offense continue to score. So,
you think they're going to score 35?
I'd
see 43.5, and I could see like 28 to like 18 kind of stuff, but you know.
Michigan's D-line is going to be, I mean, yes, they have depth, but I think they're going to struggle. I think Michigan's defense is going to struggle.
I mean, like you said, the laundry list of opt-outs for both teams is long, but I think Alabama still has more talent left over, but
Alabama's backup. The difference is Alabama's backup might be a better quarterback than Michigan's starter.
Alabama's third string might be better quarterback.
I know it's not a high bar. But
I mean, I was gonna say, like, Michigan should just run out there and play a Navy's offense. Just run the triple threat, the triple option. Screw it. Like, forget throwing it. Just run the triple option.
It works for
it might work.
An SEC team. You never know.
You never know. I mean, I'm just saying, like, they don't. Like, you watch Michigan throw the football and you go, "Oh man, that sucks." Because you watch your team throw the football and you're like, wow, there's a clear difference in talent.
All right, moving on.
Real quick, Illini Ted making the clear and wise observation. Bowl games only mean something when the SEC is a dominant record. Otherwise, they're meaningless. Those are the facts, Ted. You got it spot on there, my friend.
It just means more.
Just means more
until it doesn't.
Moving on, some homers in here might say this different, but the Tony the Tiger Sun Bowl,
the legendary Tony the Tiger Sun Bowl. I gotta say, the Sun Bowl is actually very historic. It's one of the oldest bowl games, but it has definitely lost some of its luster being sponsored by an anthropomorphic tiger, I think.
Louisville Cardinals, Washington Huskies are the home team in this. This kicks off tomorrow at 2 p.m. Eastern. Louisville is favored by 1.5 points. That makes it basically a pick 'em.
That feels about right, to be honest.
Feels about right to me, but I think I'm going to take Louisville in that, guys.
That's fine.
I don't blame you. Do you know how many games Washington has won away from Husky Stadium this year?
0.
It's a round number. So
Big old Oregon.
Big old Oregon. I would probably take Louisville too, because the Huskies just haven't proved that they can do it. And by the way, the only player who is in the portal that is playing is Jack McAllister, the punter, and nobody else who entered the portal is playing. Even though Fish said, "You guys can do this as long as you're not doing visits."
He gave him the option, and that there's only one guy in the portal that's a huge loss because he was a starter and on defense. The linebacker that's going to North Carolina. Other than that, I mean, all the seniors are playing, like Carson Bruner, some guys that might be able to be drafted or might be like late round picks. It sounds like they're all playing. So no major opt-outs. Damon Williams. I mean, Damon Williams was put in some of the toughest environments. He was on mop-up duty in the Penn State game and still got some decent drives down that resulted in kicks, where our offense was doing absolutely nothing before he took the field. Yes, Penn State, second, third stringers, I get that. But I'm just saying there was promising things, and I think for being a true freshman, he did improve over the last few games. I mean, they put up 21 points at Oregon. They got blown out. I get it. Some of it mop-up duty, et cetera, et cetera. But Oregon doesn't want Washington to score even with second and third stringers in. They want to absolutely crush the Huskies under their foot. And he was still doing some good things, and he made a sweet touchdown pass late in that game. So I give the Washington a chance. I think a pick 'em is totally appropriate. I will say Louisville, Tyler Show, their starting quarterback is not playing.
Yeah.
So that I don't know what their backup talent is like. I'm going to take the Huskies in a close one. I don't necessarily see either team getting blown out, but I think both teams, it sounds like both coaches are motivated to play hard. So I would pick them like 31-28 Huskies kind of thing.
I mean, that's fair. I just like Louisville was a pretty decent team all year. I think people forget that. They played Notre Dame tough. They've had some pretty good wins. I think they were 24th at some point during the season.
They were in contention for the ACC title game until the last couple of weeks.
And I mean, I know guys aren't playing. Washington, I think, has one non-starting offensive lineman out, like one starting offensive lineman who's not playing because he's transferred. Everybody else is playing on the line. I'm not a big I'm hoping this game just turns into like a track meet and just gets fun. Like I want to see like a 54-50 game straight. I'm not picking Louisville. I'm not picking Washington just simply because they haven't won away from home. So
yeah,
if they win this game, I'll be like, all right, maybe. Because
that's funny with our picks because as Becky and I know, if you're in our back of the house group chat, I'm always the doomer during games. And Becky's like, no, it's fine. They're going to score. And I'm always like, it's so over. They're terrible. So
I'm shutting it off.
Yeah,
I'm shutting it off.
I've done that. I've done it. I've missed a couple of comebacks doing that. But granted, I've got kids and family and other crap going on, so I have reasons to shut it off instead of waste my time watching the Huskies get absolutely boat raced.
Yeah,
I don't think that's this game, though.
I will be
rooting. What do you think, the neutral observer that you are?
I will be rooting for Washington unless I put money on the game, in which case I'll be rooting for Louisville.
Fair.
I just think Louisville's a safe money bet.
It is.
Yeah. They've had by far the better season of the two. There's way more reason to believe Louisville can win on the road. Like I said, if their starting quarterback was playing, I'd take Louisville by a touchdown.
I'm hoping that the haka that the Huskies did last night at the talent show is enough to scare Louisville, because I guarantee Louisville's only ever seen that on TV. But Washington's Polynesian players got in on that, and I was like, yes, let's go.
I mean, until JT Tuimoloau went to Ohio State, Moen didn't realize there could be so many vowels in one name.
Yeah,
that's how we roll out here with your Polynesians.
Hey, just keep sending them our way. South Carolina Gamecocks at the Illinois Fighting Illini, and possibly the worst game name bowl, because nothing says citrus like cheese. The Cheez-It Citrus Bowl.
Is this played at the same stadium as the Pop-Tart Bowl?
In Orlando? I think so.
Orlando? Yeah, I think it is.
Or no, is this one in Tampa? Do I have that mistaken?
Maybe this one is in Tampa.
So, but it's in Florida. I mean, that's a dead giveaway.
Maybe they'll serve Pop-Tarts because they serve Cheez-Its at the Pop-Tart Bowl. I don't know if you guys saw that photo. You could get Pop-Tarts and Cheez-Its at the same stand.
Yep. Our friend Illini turned into 13-year bowl win drought. Hey, if Nebraska can do it, you can do it, man. I have faith. I think the Illini got a lot going on for him. Your quarterback's returning, so I assume he'll play. South Carolina's good. South Carolina's good. They beat Clemson.
They?
Yeah.
Okay. Congrats.
I didn't say great. I said good. They're a good team.
I mean, their best win is the team that beat their best team is the team that beat Alabama, Oklahoma. Yeah. I mean, no, like they didn't beat anybody of significance in the Big. They didn't play anybody of significance in the SEC.
That's just because of the wonky 8-game schedule. But like I said, they beat the ACC champion. That's worth something. No, like if we're gonna sit there and say like Indiana didn't play into the top teams other than Ohio State, just look at what South Carolina did in the SEC. They didn't play anybody. I don't like that it's a 10-point. I don't like that it's a 10-point spread, Moen. Like. That doesn't feel right? Like, that's weird to me. I don't understand. Right? South Carolina's favored, okay, but why is it? I need a good reason why it's 10. I need a good reason why it's 10. SEC friends out there in chat, I think Sam Kim is an SEC guy. If you could explain, because I'll hands up, I haven't watched more than a few snaps of South Carolina football. I did watch, a little bit of that Clemson game, but why are they favored by 10 over a good Illinois team? I don't understand.
Listen, guys,
with their starting quarterback.
Yes. The Cheez-It Bowl, just so you know, it is in Orlando at the same stadium, Camping World Stadium in Orlando. The ReliaQuest Bowl is actually in Tampa. So that's the game that's being played in Tampa.
A lot of Florida.
Illini plus 10. This is basically 10.5. You're going to have to – South Carolina's going to have to win by 11 points in order to cover the spread.
No.
Look here. Here's a sneaky good bet for you guys. The money line at 310. That's a very good bet because I think the Illini are going to pull it off. I think they're going to end their drought.
Yeah, look at
what? At the very least,
look at the Illini beating the South Carolina Gamecocks.
Look at them.
Look at them.
Yeah, my son will be right along with me watching it. He's starting to get into football. I'm training him early. Illini Ted saying think they're pretty evenly matched, but they'll find out. Yeah, I mean, this is one. It's like we don't really have a lot of comparables, I'd say, on either side. It's just weird to me that the line is so high. If Sam Kim, Vegas thinks SC has more NFL athletes, I guess, and they're hot. I mean,
they won 6
played
straight
well at the end of the year. Illini kind of shuffled down the stretch after a really hot start. I get it, but 10 is a big line.
By the way, I just looked. The money, it's now 9.
Yeah, so people are feeling what we're
going
feeling.
In Illinois.
Yeah,
Illinois
I mean, Illinois could lose by a full touchdown, and you're still taking that to the bank every day of the week. So I don't know. I'm taking Illinois in the points. And Moen, I'm with you. Again, I don't know a lot about South Carolina, but I've seen Illinois put up some impressive performances. They can score when they're firing on all cylinders. I think they win a close one. I think they could pull it off.
Yeah, listen, regardless of what the point spread is, that money line, 310, that's pretty good money. You're getting 3-1 odds basically. So you're picking Illinois to win regardless of the score. So I think I might be taking Illinois on the money line. I just like Illinois to win. I think Illinois is going to win the game. I think South Carolina is a bit overrated. They only won that game against Clemson on a late interception that Klubnik threw that was just a dumb pass. So,
the money line is shifted now to plus 270 Illinois.
Okay. Well,
dang it, Mo! You should have
got in at 310, guys.
Yeah. Get into if you're a degenerate gambler, get on those early lines, people. Sam Kim, South Carolina's D line is no joke. Illinois' O line will be ready. I mean, their O line is one of their strengths.
Illinois' O line is really good. I'm just like, for me, when I watch Illinois play, and I think for them, they've got to run the ball really, really well. When they're at their best, they're running the ball well. I'm just more like,
when they're at their best, when they're at their best, they run the ball enough that they can then take the top off of defense and hurt you.
It's like I'm saying, I'm trying to figure out which defense is the one that's going to show up. The one that, gave up, what was it, like 50 to Purdue, or the one that played, the one that played against Penn State and had it, 21-7. I know they lost that game, but Penn State. If you watched it, Penn State had to struggle to get to 21. I know South Carolina's pretty good. I think they're slightly overrated. I think they've been a little overrated all year, but at the same time, Illinois is just, like you guys said, they've struggled a bit at the end of the year. 28 points to Northwestern is not good. I don't care who you are giving up 28 to Northwestern. I know it's a rivalry. And then, of course, 49 to Purdue, two of the worst teams in the conference offensively. Not just overall, just offensively.
Two of Illinois' 3 losses were to Oregon and Penn State. The other one was that wonky game playing Minnesota. So I don't really consider those horrible losses.
No, it was 38-9. Oregon boat raced them.
The number 1 team in the country. Yes.
I'm like.
If Illinois beats South Carolina, officially join the SEC's overrated club. Hey, we got it in writing. Got to be a man or woman of your word. So
I mean, I like they were just saying bowl games don't matter.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
mean, I might lose $10, but I might make $27.
Yeah.
Who knows?
Who knows?
yeah, pro gambling tip: never ever bet your own team. Always bet for your opponent, because then if, like for example, if you bet. The only time I've ever bet, I put $1 down on Oregon to win, and I had some beer money. So
There you go.
Yep.
Next three games, we got some college football semifinal games here.
Yeah, we kind of gave our game picks last week. I saw Argyle had this earlier in chat. Penn State and Tyler Warren go off. They weren't stopping him. Guy snapped his own touchdown catch. Yes. I want to see some crazy stuff like that, just in the spirit of like Boise State and the Statue of Liberty and the Fiesta Bowl. Like, this game deserves wonky, out of pocket, ridiculous plays. That's the kind of game I want.
Yeah.
Yeah. And by this time tomorrow, they'll be deep in the first quarter of the Verbo Fiesta Bowl. I still can't get over the fact that it's Verbo and not Tostitos.
Yeah, that was like a marketing, match made in heaven.
Yeah, that just worked so well.
There are two opposite
PlayStation was great.
Yeah, there's opposite ends of the spectrum. There's Tostitos Fiesta Bowl and Cheez-It Citrus Bowl in the constellation of naming bowl games.
I still like the PlayStation Fiesta Bowl. That was fun to say.
Yeah, but Tostitos. I mean,
Tostitos
Tostitos just made sense because of what it is. Also,
the only one I could
trophy.
think of. Yeah, the physically biggest trophy. The only one I could think of top of head that would be a better match is the Arizona Iced Tea Fiesta Bowl.
Okay.
But I digress.
I still like Tostitos.
Yeah. The Arizona Iced Tea Peach Bowl would be fun too.
But I digress. I think we all took Penn State in this one. I mean, I'm no secret that I'm a pseudo Boise fan. I got friends, family that are alumni, etc. They're in the Pacific Northwest, but Penn State's just too good. I'd take Penn State even with the points on this one.
Penn State's going to roll them. Sorry.
Yeah. Sorry, Boise.
I like Penn State.
Yeah.
I like Penn State.
I hope Genty has a good game, but it's tough
Listen, I think they're going to shut Genty down, and I don't think Boise State has enough weapons beyond Genty to actually keep pace with Drew Aller and Tyler Warren and the weapons they have. So
it's just a talent level at the secondary versus the wide receivers for Boise. Like, it's just too much talent. Like,
yeah. Illini Ted saying to be surprised if we don't have two Big Ten semifinalists. Well, you're guaranteed to have one. So
guaranteed to have one.
It's just really if you think Penn State's going to win or not. But yeah, no, I agree. It's if one of the SEC teams should lose, that's icing on the cake because we're in open warfare between our two conferences at this point. Moving on, we previewed this a lot, but I still deep in my Pac-12 soul, this one hits right. Oregon, Ohio State in the granddaddy of them all, the game that needs no sponsor, even though they give it one, which is terrible, the Rose Bowl.
It's the Rose Bowl presented by Prudential. I cut that out of the logo. Yep. I'm just simply going with the registered trademark Rose logo for this graphic. Ohio State, Oregon. Here we go.
Yeah. There's a reason this one is just called the Rose Bowl, and they add the sponsor in after because it's sacrilege to put a sponsor in front of this one. Yeah, I don't know what to make as far as the line and gambling. In my brain, legitimately, this is a pick'em, and I have no clue. I'm taking Ohio State slightly just because they're playing, like you could argue Oregon's got the rest, but is the rest good or bad? I know how Ohio State's playing right now. They're playing really well. They got revenge on the mind, and they don't have to play in Eugene. So I'm taking Ohio State in a close one.
I can't pick the Ducks because of who the Ducks are. So, I mean, I'm going to say Ohio State wins because I can't pick that. I just refuse to pick the Ducks. I do think Oregon will probably win. But I am finding it odd that the number one team in the country doesn't have to travel all that far. This is the underdog. I find that incredibly disrespectful to Oregon's season. But also, I will say this: if Oregon does not win, I don't know when they're ever going to win a national title. Like this game has classic written all over it, though.
Yeah, Tony Lashin kind of right there with you. Moen, is this a must-win?
I don't think it's a must-win. I think he did enough whipping Tennessee's ass that's probably enough to keep him. That doesn't mean he won't go out there. That was a close game in October, settled by 1 point. They basically had a rule change because of what happened at the end of the game.
Yeah.
And I think we're going to get another close game. I think this is probably going to be the best game of bowl season. I think the winner of this probably is your national champion. I think these are the two best teams in the playoff.
They're among the I have 5 teams in my mind that could win it all, that I think are good enough to go the distance and win the remaining games. 2 of them are in this game. So it's trial by fire. They're going to have played their equal and opposite. Yeah.
I'm on record as saying I think Texas will win it all.
Oh, gross.
I just think they're the best team.
They have to play the winner of this game just to get there.
And yeah, they all have to play the winner. Like
somebody's got to play them. I know. To make it to the championship.
I know. Somebody has to play them anyway. Might not be Texas.
Because Texas away from Austin isn't as good as Texas when they're at home by a lot.
Well, I mean, Texas's defense is highly underrated. I don't think people realize how good it is. The thing with this game is, can Ohio State, because they basically have come out and said we made the mistakes last time, we beat ourselves. Can Ohio State cut down on the mistakes? Can they get back into the things that made them successful against Oregon the first time, which is getting to the edge, hitting that hole, and running it hard? I think as long as Howard does not throw 2 interceptions again, like they'll win this game. They just have got to get, and I say this with all sincerity, they have got to get Dylan Gabriel uncomfortable. He doesn't throw. Oregon's offense is not designed to throw this ball downfield, guys. They try to check down. So if they can get pressure on him and really make life difficult for Dylan Gabriel, they'll win this game. If not, it's going to be a very long day. But I will also say this is on grass. Oregon is very fast. They haven't played on grass, I think, all year. So this should be – we'll see how – they're still going to be fast, but people do know turf makes you a little bit quicker than on natural grass. So we're going to see –
just more consistent of a surface.
Yeah. So we'll see how good they are. I mean, like I said, I'm picking Ohio State, but I'm not stupid enough to believe that Oregon can't win.
Yeah. I think you're right. It's a pick 'em, but I think Ohio State Oregon's been sitting since after the Big Ten championship game. Ohio State got to play a game in there, get warmed up, get momentum. I think that's what pushed them over the edge, in my opinion. We'll see. We'll see.
But, enjoy it, because the playoff is not necessarily going to have this aesthetically pleasing, the correct teams in the correct bowl game going forward. So I'm going to enjoy every minute of it. And it just so happens to be probably the best total matchup that we're going to get, maybe short of something cool in the championship game. Sam Kim summed it up nicely. It's a pick 'em. It's not complicated.
Yeah, like I said, I just think Ohio State playing that game more recently, that's what I think pushes them over the edge.
Yeah, I think blowing out Tennessee is kind of helped them out a little bit in this one.
We'll anticipate that one highly, but moving on down to I don't know if this is a good or bad name. It's just kind of a name. The Duke's Mayo Bowl, and depending on your feelings about mayonnaise, the celebration at the end is either hilarious or cringe-inducing and possibly makes you want to vomit. But our fighting Flugars are fighting Tony Lashins. The Golden Gophers are taking on them Hokies from Virginia Tech, who I know nothing about and have not watched this year. So Gophers have at it. Sounds like a fun game.
Well, Virginia Tech's a fun watch. I have a friend who went to Virginia Tech. A couple of friends actually went to Virginia Tech. It's kind of weird that I know so many Hokies out here on the West Coast. They're a fun little team to watch. They're not going to blow you out of the water. We're like, oh God, they're so good. I think Minnesota is going to win this game. I'm going to say this. Minnesota plays good defense. Not great, good. They're just good. They play good offense. Not great, just good. And for whatever reason, Minnesota tends to just hang around like a gnat. Like a gnat, you know? Like I don't know how to explain Minnesota. They just annoy the crap out of you because all of a sudden you look up and you've lost. Like, I mean, UNC, like, I don't know how they lost to UNC. I really don't. I haven't figured that out. But yeah, and you know, like Jimmy Hudson said, a bowl of mayo, like getting mayonnaise poured on top of me for winning the game. I would rather just lose. I hate mayonnaise, guys. I don't like Miracle Whip. I despise mayonnaise too. So,
Moen, are you on team Mayo or team Miracle Whip?
I'm team Miracle Whip all the way.
Okay, you're from the Midwest. I feel like you should be an authority on this.
Yes. We use Miracle Whip for everything. Miracle
Lots
Whip
of
on
potato salads and similar
deviled
things
eggs, potato salad, egg salad, anything.
Yeah.
We buy that stuff by the case here in the Midwest. I will say this.
Bulk pack.
Nice thing about the Duke's Mayo Bowl is it does a good job of product placement. It is like the Pop-Tarts Bowl. You remember at the end of the game, Duke's Mayo. Now, if you want to buy Duke's Mayo instead of a quality product like Miracle Whip, that's your business. I like Minnesota in this game. I think Minnesota has a better coach. Virginia Tech, as Tony Lawson pointed out in the chat, has a lot of guys in the transfer portal.
16 players, and I'm assuming 16 big-time contributors. I don't know about the Juggernaut Gopher part. That it's a rowboat, my friend, not a speedboat.
Well, I mean, it is Tony.
I know. I yeah.
Like I feel like Minnesota would be 5-7 in this game, and he would still be like, they're a juggernaut. And it's like they've lost 7 games by 63 points. How are they?
I mean, you and I are far too like all of us on the panel are far too pragmatic about our own teams to totally stump for them. You know, we try to call balls and strikes as best as possible, but Tony, he's all in, and I love that kind of passion on the Golden Gophers.
Yeah, the only time I would have stumped UW all year and been like, oh yeah, it's a blowout. What would have been against Purdue? But I did do it against Northwestern. I'd say they blow Northwestern out, and then I went and watched them do it.
Yeah, there's only room for one purple team with the Lakefront Stadium in this conference.
Yeah, that's right. It's us. This game just makes me want to vomit. It's so gross. I never watch it because of the whole mayo dumping. It's just nasty. Also, they're going to do things throughout the game with mayonnaise. And I'm like, don't do that. Although I will say this, the best thing you can do is take a jar of mayonnaise, empty it out, put the vanilla pudding in it, and then go sit at a park where everybody's running.
Oh, Lord.
Eat the pudding out of the jar. It does. It actually it always works. People get
for legal reasons, the college football mafia does not condone or endorse this behavior. Know your local laws before participating in pranks. You
can do the same thing with a jar of Miracle Whip. You just don't take the Miracle Whip out. You just eat the Miracle Whip.
Yeah, but if you do it out here out west, if you do it with a jar of Miracle Whip, they're just gonna take your jar. They're gonna be like, we want to save you.
I don't know what they do in the city, but in the suburbs that don't fly.
Yeah, I was like, it's worse than smoking. Like it's bad for you. That's gross.
But anyways, Illini said VT is really fun, but they represent the ACC, so Minnesota should roll. Yeah, I know we're doing the whole does conference versus conference really matter?
Yeah.
When you're 1-9 as a conference in your bowl games,
it matters at that point.
It's real bad. The ACC is hurting at a time where they really need to be pulling together because that ESPN deal is right around the corner, and obviously one season is not going to be the end-all be-all, but it's not a good look. Not a good bargaining, not you want to be standing in when you go to the bargaining table over the future of your conference. But I digress. Should be a fun game. All of the games where I've had like no particular strong feelings or rooting interest have turned into like overtime, down to the wire, last score wins type of really awesome games, like 6 overtime games. So, let's hope for that in the Duke's Bowl.
Yeah, it's like, let's say this. The ACC might be 1-9 in their bowl games or whatever it is. They haven't been blown out. The only teams that got blown out were in the playoffs. I think a couple of teams have been blown out, but it's not like we're talking, all 9 games have been complete beatings. Like,
well, just hope Minnesota fans don't watch the game and have the thought, what the hell, man?
Ted.
Good
Here,
one,
I got
Ted.
it for you. I got it for you, Pickles.
Nice. Appreciate it. We got to work more soundboard effects into the show.
Terrible.
Got to give the people what they want.
I thought it was a great pun, Illini, Ted.
Yeah,
Terrible. It's a great
but
pun.
I think the Big Ten. I mean, I think the Big Ten comes out of bowl season with a winning record overall. We're 500 right now, but I think the playoff's going to go exceedingly well. And yeah, you could say that's inflating the numbers because you get multiple games out of one team. But I think the conference overall holds their own. Real quick thought from Illini Ted about the game we did not mention, Texas and ASU, and also Notre Dame, Georgia, but nobody likes either of them. I hope the stadium falls into the ocean. Texas and Indiana schedule this year. Texas had an Indiana-like schedule this year. Hard to figure out what they might do. Can honestly see them losing to ASU. They live or die by the same way Boise lives and dies by Ashton Genty. Arizona State lives and dies by Cam Scatabo just being an absolute mauler. And unfortunately, as Becky said, Texas's D-line is still very, very good. They lost 2 top-end defensive line picks, and they have a couple of more stepping in right behind them. So that is almost the unstoppable force, immovable object, contest right there. I'm taking Texas. I wish my Big 12 friends well, but they are one of the teams that I think are talented enough to make it to the championship. Any strong thoughts on ASU Texas, Moen, other than Texas is good?
Look, I'd like to see ASU win it, but I don't think they can.
Yeah.
But I'll root for them.
This feels like Boise State and Penn State. Your strength is running the football against the strength of stopping the run.
Yeah.
Sorry. And Texas has only given up 7 touchdowns through the air. So I don't know how Arizona State's going to throw the ball to win. This feels like Texas will load the box against Scatabo. And if it comes down to a kick, let me say this. If it comes down to a kick, guys, who are you taking? Anybody out there?
Texas.
Yeah.
Can we be real for 2 seconds? They have no kicker. Their kicker sucks. End of story. I thought our kicker was bad this year, but their kicker's horrible.
Sorry to get sidebar back on our condiments discussion. In Portland, they call mayo aioli, so
Same
it doesn't
thing in
sound weird
Seattle.
to dip your fries in. Yeah, that's a pretentious hipster restaurant thing, and it's so they can charge you an extra $3 for a cup of sauce. And I'm honestly, I'm fed up with it.
Call it what is it? What is the aioli? They call it a Chipotle aioli, and you're like, that's just mayonnaise with Chipotle in it.
I can't. And they charge you extra.
They do charge you extra. Oh, what is this? Oh, it's a Greek aioli. What?
Michael Smith, Indiana, got blown the hail out. I can't do the accent, sorry.
Hail
but it
out.
took a true ACC champ to do it. I'm kind of with you on that one. The true ACC champ is the one still playing in the playoff.
Yeah.
Maybe they could be a true conference champion if they ever joined a conference.
Right?
Moen's still on team #bend the knee, and I think the team whose hat resides on your head right now has a lot to do with whether or not that happens.
Don't schedule Notre Dame USC.
There's talk. There's a lot of talk that they're going to drop that scheduling.
Yeah.
Yep. But we digress. We appreciate everyone sticking with us. One more news and note thing. This is selfish for me. I'm going to put my purple glasses firmly back on. Ryan Walters, it certainly appears like he is going to be the next defensive coordinator at Washington, replacing Steve Belichick, who is coaching in the Sun Bowl, but is, widely reported he's going to join his dad at North Carolina. Moen, we're kind of purple glasses about it. We know he was a really good DC when he was at Illinois, really struggled as a head coach, but I think some things out of his control. As a neutral conference mate, what do you make of the hire?
Yeah, I think Walters is a good defensive coordinator. He was a terrible head coach. He was in way over his head.
Bad situation for sure.
Well, situation is what you make of it. Signetti took over a bad situation and look where he is. Signetti's a great head coach. Walters just wasn't ready for it. I don't think he'll ever be ready for it. And listen, there's lots of guys like this that they're not great coaches, but they are fantastic defensive coordinators. Wade Phillips. You guys remember Wade Phillips from the NFL?
Yeah.
Man could never successfully head coach, but every few years, he would come out of retirement, be a defensive coordinator, and have the best defense in the NFL.
Yeah, an infamous name to all my former Pac-12 friends out there, Jimmy Lake for the Huskies.
Yeah, Jimmy Lake.
Terrible head coach, got fired basically right away, but almost every stop he's been at as a DC, whether in the NFL or college, he's done really well.
Yeah, I'm excited for it. I mean, as a Husky, like clearly, but also what I think is so great about this hire is they're bringing in somebody with experience in the conference and somebody who has flipped a bad defense and made it good. I think he did it with Illinois, and when they were coming through, like, and trying to get better. Talent-wise, he's going to bring in some talent. I think he's actually already out recruiting.
There's a D tackle that's very widely sought after from Purdue that I would like to see where
there's a few guys. Yeah, there's a few guys out there that he's probably going to go out and get. I think the portal is about. I mean, the portal's not closed. You can't enter it or something like that. Is what it is. But
yeah. Well, obviously they're all conference safety at Oregon now already.
Yeah,
so
I just think it's a great hire. I think it's a great hire. I think he'll get the defense going where it needs to be. The defense went from 99 to 26 overall under. People forget that Washington made the college football national championship game with the 99th ranked defense last year.
Well, unfortunately, that showed up in the national championship.
Yeah, because the running game was the rush defense was the whole problem last year. It wasn't so
Just
much
to show you how good Michael Penix really was that he got that team to the national championship.
Real
quick, Timothy Green, we really appreciate you, my friend. Entire panel in rare form tonight. I mean, I don't know what kind of bar we set for ourselves, but we're glad to exceed it whenever we can.
Yeah.
Appreciate you, Timothy.
Yeah. Tony rubbing it in that PJ picked up 2 Huskies. Yeah, Cam Davis and one of our offensive linemen.
Someone pointed out, I mean, this is kind of a hilarious thing, but once you see it, you can't unsee it. All you have to do to know if that guy was an impact player on their team, go look at the replies under their transfer post. If it's everyone wishing him well, good luck, he wasn't really that important, or is maybe a senior on his last year, grad transfer kind of thing. If they're all saying, screw you, you took the money, blah, 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 that dude was an important player. Yeah. And no offense, because I really like Davis and or what was the lineman's name? I'm blanking on him right now.
I'm blanking on the lineman's name.
But a lineman, and Cam Davis is a 6-year senior. We wish him nothing but the best, but we have Jonah Coleman.
Yeah, that's why he left. That's the only reason why he left. Jonah Coleman took his snaps. He's a big back. He's
1,000-yard back behind a terrible offensive line. That's how good he is.
He's going to do well if he stays healthy, because he wasn't healthy last year either. He got banged up, and Dylan Johnson had to take over the starting role. Dylan Johnson ran for like 1,300 yards, but no, he's going to be great. Minnesota, but I think you guys got two really good players. The offensive lineman, I think it was our left guard. He was not one of the problems. Let me just say that.
But I digress. There has been a lot of intra-conference movement. Line I picked up 3 Wisconsin D-line players. There seems to be a lot of that, but I digress. The portal will open up again in the spring, and I think there will be just as much movement as we've seen. We will get to that, but for now, there's certainly games to be played. We appreciate you all being here on the New Year's Eve. And Becky, what is your one for the road heading into 2025?
I want people to not get so upset if their coach leaves for another job. Looking at you,
I can't do that.
Looking at you, Wazoo. These guys are professionals. That it's no worse than you taking a better like you may not even be a better job. You're just taking a job because it pays you more.
I don't know. I can't tell you how
you're not
upset
gonna,
I was at Kalen DeBoer.
I wasn't upset by Kalen DeBoer. I knew the backstory. I knew the backstory. I got it. But I'm saying Dickert left, and Wazoo Twitter went awry. Wazoo fans themselves went awry. I'm just saying loyalty does not exist anymore. And if you don't believe me, Nick Saban was at Alabama still talking to NFL teams. Bob Stoops is at Oklahoma talking NFL teams. The only guys who stuck around and are there for their team right now are Mario Cristobal, who's an alumni of Miami, and that was his dream job, and Mike Gundy, who's been the same job for like 30 years, it feels like, at Oklahoma State. Again, an alum. The only other guy I can think of who may not ever leave is Dabo Swinney, because he's in a good spot. Loyalty does not exist amongst coaches anymore, guys.
They're a dying breed for sure.
Yeah. If a better thing comes along, they're going to take it. No point in losing your crap over somebody leaving. That's just my 2 cents. It's just I would do it. I would do it for more money too. Like, come on.
Yeah. I mean,
by the way, Wazoo made a great hire. Just point that out.
I'm not going to fault a guy for improving his life situation and family, but I think coaches need to hold up their end of the bargain, which is don't come in saying this is my forever home and my dream destination and I'm going to retire here. Don't give us that crap, because it doesn't mean anything anymore. So you hold up your end of the bargain and say, I'm here to, get the best team I can in this. Don't sell us the thing that it's your forever job, Kalen DeBoer, because he did. He backtracked on it later when he knew there were other jobs open and the Huskies were doing really well, so he'd be in line for those jobs. Just, we all know the game. Just let's all be honest about it, and we can have a much better experience both as fans and coaches. That's all I'd say on that. Moen, going into the new year, what is your one for the road?
Well, first of all, I'd like to say Happy New Year to you and Becky Go Huskies.
You as well, my friend. You'll get there. You'll get to 2025 before us, so enjoy it.
Hopefully. I'd like to thank everybody in the community as well. And speaking of coaches, with Iowa's loss today, Wayne Woodrow Hayes remains the winningest Big Ten coach. He stands alone. Kirk Ferentz did not tie him today, so I will have one for the great Woody Hayes.
I'll leave that one to you. I've got mixed opinions on Woody Hayes, but he is a great coach, no less. Absolutely.
By the way, it was yesterday. I said it in our group chat, but yesterday was the anniversary of the infamous punch to the Clemson player that got him fired. So
it was indeed, but a great coach nonetheless. Now that we're a new conference, I'd put him up there with legends like Don James. Certainly, they'd be in the pantheon of Big Ten legends. But
hey, do you know who's a descendant of the Don James coaching tree?
I know who it is. Moen, can you guess off the top of your head before we spoil it for you?
No idea.
Saban.
He wrote the foreword in the Don James biography that was released. That would be one Nick Saban, who coached under him at Kent State.
Yep.
And credits a lot of his success and just his early formation as a coach to Don James.
Also, Gary Pinkel, former head coach at Missouri, was the offensive coordinator of the 1991 national championship team.
Yeah. Hey, they all know each other. And like you were saying, with coaches getting hired this, that, and the other way, they all know each other. They all know what jobs are open. So it's a business at the end of the day, but we all love it still. Yeah. My one for the road is completely unrelated to this. Unfortunately, my Montana Grizzlies did not make the FCS national championship. Their great arch rival, the Montana State Bobcats, did, which is okay. My wife's cousin is currently attending there. Other friends and family who are Bobcats. It's all right. I'll get over it. But something very cool. Last year, Montana was not able to raise the funds to send their band to Frisco, Texas, where the FCS National Championship is played. Montana State raised money and donated to get the Grizzly band there. This year, the same situation happened, and they returned the favor. Montana raised, I think it's like $100,000 or something to pay for travel costs for the Montana State band to get to Frisco, Texas. So it's good to see arch rivals, especially bands pull for each other. That's what we love to see in college sports, is some of the pageantry and good stuff. So shout out to Montana State and Montana looking out for each other despite being bitter rivals. That wraps it up for 2024. But there's still some more season to go ahead in 2025. We want to thank everyone for being here in chat, and we will see you in the new year.
Bye. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.